Teenagers are stupid. I think that we all can agree on that. And it's no fault of their own. It has everything to do with their frontal lobes. You know, that part of the brain that's responsible for processing information and decision making? Well, today's case is all about what happens when an adult behaves more like a teenager. Sunday, January 19th, 2020, should have been an ordinary night in the lives of 6 teenagers, but instead it turned deadly. Childhood friends 16-year-old Daniel Hawkins, Jacob Ivascu, and Drake Ruiz grew up together in Corona, California, a beautiful city that encompasses various aspects, including safety, great year-round weather, and a diverse range of employment opportunities. On the night of January 19th, the boys gathered at Hawkins' home to celebrate a birthday, along with 18-year-old Sergio Campuzano and 2 of the boys' younger brothers, 13-year-old Joshua Hawkins and Joshua Ivascu. Things took a turn sometime in the evening when one of them dared Joshua Ivascu to either jump in a pool or play ding-dong ditch on someone's home. Joshua went with ding-dong ditch. Now, if you're not familiar with the prank, it's been around for decades in North America. It goes like this. You ring someone's doorbell or knock at their door, and then you make a run for it. That's pretty much it in a nutshell. And like all pranks, the idea is to get under the other person's skin. Now, all 6 boys crammed into a Toyota Prius, and they made their way to a random home in Corona. Joshua rang the doorbell, and when he heard the door unlock, that was his cue to hop back in the car and bounce. Now, I'm no mind reader, but if I had to guess, I'm thinking that they most likely felt like that was going to be the end of it. They would go back to the Hawkins residence, hang out for a bit, stuff their faces with more birthday cake and Cheetos. Maybe they would make some content for TikTok or something, or pull another prank in the area. After all, they're not bad kids. They play sports. Some of the boys even attend a church youth group. They're good kids with no real intention of hurting anyone. Just having a little fun. So what could possibly go wrong? The answer is really simple. They ding-dong ditched the wrong home.
Officers have arrested 42-year-old Anurang Chandra on murder charges, accused of intentionally ramming his car into the vehicle carrying the 16 Sunday night. Campusano's mother believes Chandra may have hit the teen's car between 3 to 4 times.
16-year-old best friends Daniel Hawkins, Drake Ruiz, and Jacob Ivascu were all killed in the collision. 3 other teens survived the crash, including the driver.
As the saying goes, there's 3 sides to every story, yours, mine, and the truth. So I want to dissect Chandra's account of that awful night. Let's step into his shoes for a bit. It's late. It's 10:30 at night, to be specific. 42-year-old Anurag Chandra is at home with his wife and 2 daughters when he hears someone pounding at the door. Not the sound of a doorbell or a friendly knock. Pounding. The kind the police make. He's concerned. Naturally, he takes a look to see who the hell is on the other side of the door. And it's some random person with a hoodie on. And before you know it, they've pulled their pants down to moon Chandra. And that sets him off. He gets behind the wheel of his Infiniti sedan and chases after whoever had the nerve to disrespect him. He doesn't care about the fact that he'd already consumed 12 bottles of beer all by himself just hours before the crash. Chandra is determined to, quote-unquote, express his anger. He would later testify that he was in fear for the safety of his family. It's a strange statement to make because at the time of his arrest, he'd already been in trouble for child endangerment and spousal abuse. Guys, when news broke, people in the community were heartbroken, devastated, and left confused.
It's the worst nightmare.
Daniel Damian's son is hurting. He lost 3 friends in one day.
Jacob had a bright smile, funny, always joyful, always smiles.
Are you joking? Is this a joke? Am I dreaming? Am I going to wake up from this bad nightmare? And then you realize, no, it really is reality.
While family and friends mourned, the consensus online was mixed. Some felt as though Chandra overreacted. Highlander28 writes, "This dude needs to be held accountable." Was the prank silly? Maybe. Annoying, yes, but his response was totally wrong. Others theorize that what happened on the night of January 19th may have been due to cultural differences. Afternoon Shy posted, "Foreigners who don't grow up in this country wouldn't know or understand that teens conduct these kinds of pranks here in the US. Usually those who hail from Asian countries are culturally different, where respect for elders is taught at a very young age." I want to know, what are your thoughts? Killing Time with Simone is an interactive space, so be sure to comment down below. 3 years later. After 3 years, the case was finally resolved. Yes, 3 years. On Friday, July 14th, 2023, Riverside County Judge Valerie Navarro sentenced Anurag Chandra to life in prison without the possibility of parole.
We've been robbed of watching them get married. We've been robbed of our grandchildren with our boys. And on the other hand, Chandra, he's robbed himself of that with his daughters. He will never watch his daughters graduate from college. He will never walk his daughters down the aisle.
We still are surprised that there was no remorse. I mean, he never changed the look on his face. I mean, a normal human being would, you're facing life in prison, so why not show some emotion and be at least a little bit sorry for what you did?
Final thoughts. I believe that a conversation needs to be had regarding so-called rites of passage, especially as it relates to young men. Their behavior, often disruptive, is overlooked because it's ingrained in North American culture. Now, I'm not justifying what Chandra did. He overreacted for sure, but it was a reaction nonetheless. The thing about poking the bear is you don't actually know what will happen next. Hear me out. Once upon a time, bullying was deemed harmless. Fight back, sticks and stones, even though it had long-lasting effects on the individual being subjected to what we now know is just plain old harassment. It wasn't until victims started appearing on the 6 o'clock news that people started taking it seriously. The Ding Dong Ditch murders, in my opinion, should serve as a cautionary tale about the importance of considering the consequences of your actions.